Hey everybody, welcome back to Red Mug Music. I'm Brian and I'm glad you could be with me today. It's not so sunny here in Atlanta, so hopefully you're getting better weather than I am. But anyway, what we've been doing is we've been ranking the Led Zeppelin studio albums, and we're down to number 4. Now, usually I drop a video a week. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe, hit the bell, and you'll get a notification every time one comes out. But what I decided to do is I wanted to go ahead and just finish out the Led Zeppelin studio album ranking series and just do the last 4 today. The anticipation was killing me, and I just wanted to get this done. And then next week we can get on to something else. And again, if you want to comment down below, let me know what you would like to see going forward. I'll take a look at that and see what we got. So again, we're going to go ahead and finish out the final 4 albums. And I'm going to tell you that I had so much fun listening to the Led Zeppelin catalog and just getting a very clear understanding of who they are and what they went through and how they created music. And it was a really fun experience for me. I would definitely like to recommend, if you don't know much about Led Zeppelin, or you kind of know Led Zeppelin, or you just know like the big stuff, the hits, I really would recommend just going through and just checking it all out, because it is all really good stuff. So before we start with the final 4 top ranked albums that I have, I want to recap what we have so far. The number 9 album was Coda. The number 8 album was In Through the Outdoor. The number 7 album was Presence. The number 6 album was Houses of the Holy, and I got a lot of pushback on that. And like I said, that's my favorite album, and I possibly underranked that because I was afraid that I was going to overrank that. I don't know if that makes any sense. Maybe I should have swapped it with this next one, but the next one was Led Zeppelin 3. So again, Coda, In Through the Outdoor, Presence, Houses of the Holy, and then Led Zeppelin 3. And then now here are the final 4. So anyway, let's start with our number 4 album, and that is going to be Led Zeppelin, the debut album. Now, this album came out in 1969, and it was completely produced and funded by Jimmy Page. After the Yardbirds, the band that Jimmy Page was a part of, broke up, he basically created a new band, and he had called them the New Yardbirds. Now, right after forming this band, getting the 4 members together as we know them, they started recording material. And they also incorporated remakes and rearrangements of other bands' material. And it was songs such as Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You, You Shook Me, Dazed and Confused, and I Can't Quit You, Baby. All that was other songs that they had taken. And it was like a really nice rock bluesy sound. And this was a very significant and important debut album. Now, some of my favorite songs on this album is like Dazed and Confused, and Your Time Is Going to Come, and Babe, I'm Going to Leave You. Those are absolutely my 3 favorite songs. So now I thought this album had a really good start with Good Times, Bad Times, and it had some pretty decent transitions, which is important to me on an album. But I thought it got a little slow the way the song sequencing was. It got a little slow there in the middle, so I kind of noticed that. And also, I don't know if they did this on other albums going forward, but I know that the way they recorded the music, they would put microphones like at the instrument and then one like way out, and it would just give this nice echoey reverb kind of a concert live sound to it. And I don't think, being from 1969, I don't think that was bad quality, because there's other albums that I really enjoy, like the Beatles, from 1969 that I enjoy. But something about the quality of this album I'm not really into. So I think that kind of hurts it for me a little bit. But for the most part, this is a great album. I did put it at number 4. One other change I would have liked to have made to it is actually start the album out with Communication Breakdown. And I'm sorry that I add all this extra stuff in there. That's just how I think. And I was just thinking maybe that would be a better beginning, but it is what it is. It's our number 4. We'll go on to number 3. All right, for number three, I chose Physical Graffiti. This album is from 1975, and it was released as a double album. Now, after recording the album, it was only enough material to fill 3 sides of a record. So what they had to do, they had to go to previous unreleased material, the songs that didn't make previous albums, and pull those into this to create a double album. And in my opinion, I think what this did is just cause too much bloat. I'm not a fan of double albums unless it's a compilation greatest hits album or a live album. I just don't really care for it. Even the Beatles' White Album, I think there's a lot of bloat, a lot of fluff on there that didn't need to be on there. Even like Smashing Pumpkins, Infinite Sadness, there's definitely a lot of junk on there that doesn't need to be there. But both of these albums are considered, some of the best albums of all time, which makes no sense to me because the album within itself is not a sum of all its parts by any stretch of the imagination. I just think people like more material, even if it's good or bad. As long as there's enough good on there, they ignore the bad, because I can definitely guarantee you most people are skipping over Sweet Honey Pie. But I did put this album at number 3. I do like this album, and I actually created a playlist on Apple, and I excluded songs like Braniar or Down by the Seaside, Night Flight, Boogie with Stu, just to name a few. That's what I considered some of the bloat that didn't need to be on the album. But with songs like Custard Pie, Trampled Underfoot, Cashmere, In the Light, 10 Years Gone, and my favorite, In My Time of Dying, I actually do love this album. I am able to get by the stuff that I don't really like to be able to listen to this album in full, and I think it's a magnificent album, and it's our number 3 album here. Okay, that brings us to the number 2 album, which I always say, giving you the number 2, you're going to know the number 1, but we'll discuss the number 2 first, and then we'll get on to the number 1 album. The number 2 album, I picked Led Zeppelin II. Actually, I have it right here. Led Zeppelin II. This is a very heavy album. It's blistering. It's very recognizable with tracks like Whole Lotta Love, Heartbreaker, and Ramble On. And the only non-rock songs on it are Bring It On Home, which is absolutely not a favorite of mine at all. And one of my favorite songs of all time, Thank You. Thank You is absolutely one of my favorite songs on this album, even though it's one of the slower ones, maybe the slowest ones. But Duran Duran, I don't know if you listen to Duran Duran, but they have a cover version of the song, and it's on their album called Thank You as well, where they do cover versions of a bunch of stuff. And they covered this particular song, and it is absolutely fantastic. You should check that out. But with this album, Led Zeppelin, this was their second album, of course, and they set the standard on what a rock album should sound like. And this particular album is probably one of the most influential albums ever to exist. So this is definitely a fantastic album. But like I said, with Heartbreaker, Whole Lotta Love, Ramble On, this thing is pure fire. So Led Zeppelin II, our number 2 album. And now, as you know, the number 1 album picked by me as their best album of all time. Now I want to stop here and talk about, now I know there's a lot of you, there's a lot of Led Zeppelin fans out there that have been fans for a long time who will probably think Physical Graffiti is their best album or Led Zeppelin III is their best album. And I just don't feel like that's, I don't know. I just don't think the majority of Led Zeppelin fans or non-Led Zeppelin fans that are paying attention, I just don't think that's what they're going to say. I think they're going to say it's going to be this album, Led Zeppelin. Actually, this is an untitled album. There is no title. What they decided to do is create 4 symbols. It was Jimmy Page's idea. He wanted to create 4 symbols to represent each of the band members, and that's what they did. So people commonly refer to this album as Led Zeppelin IV, but it's just Led Zeppelin. Now, Led Zeppelin, it came out in 1971, and it has one of the best intro songs ever, definitely for a Led Zeppelin album with Black Dog. And then it's got a fantastic follow up with the song Rock and Roll. I mean, that's one of the best 1-2 punches you're going to find in music. And then after including songs like Battle of Evermore, Misty Mountain Hop, Going to California, Four Sticks, When the Levee Breaks, you have an absolute rock solid album. I mean, even just those songs alone, this album is still one of the best albums of all time, and definitely the best album by Led Zeppelin. But then when you add Led Zeppelin's their signature song, Stairway to Heaven, it just blows it out of the water. I mean, this is absolutely a phenomenal album, and I actually consider Stairway to Heaven. I don't listen to it a lot because I've listened to it so much, and I'm pretty sure I see it the way everybody else does. It's just kind of overplayed, but it doesn't, and it shouldn't take away from the fact that this is a epic song. I mean, this is absolutely a song of all songs. You know, this is like in the same categories like Hotel California and Bohemian Rhapsody and Stairway to Heaven. It's just, you know, a classic. You just can't get any better than this kind of music. And here's the album. Actually, it's completely unopened. I've got 2 albums. I have one open. It's still over there. And, you know, the original, and this one I just bought brand new like 6 months ago, and it's not open yet. So I'm not going to open that. But anyway, that's it. That's that is the top, the final 4 Led Zeppelin studio albums, and I would love to know how you rank those yourself. Now, my final thoughts on Led Zeppelin: they are amazing. You know, they were the hottest band in the world, and this is after the Beatles had disbanded. Led Zeppelin came and saved the day by, you know, starting to create material and getting it out and letting us enjoy that. And that was fantastic stuff. I did notice they did a lot of borrowing of music from other bands. They had a lot of inspiration from other songs, other lyrics. They've been involved in a lot of lawsuits about stealing material. And at first I thought that by the end of this album, or by the end of this series, I would kind of complain about that. But after a little bit of more thought and actually discussions with my wife, I came to the realization that they weren't stealing material. They were inspired by this material. I don't think they thought that they would take it and make it better. I think they just had an idea. And so I consider Led Zeppelin, especially Jimmy Page, because I think he's the one that really was influenced by all these songs. I think he is an inspired creator. You know, like my wife and I were talking about, you have your creators that can take a blank canvas and just put something beautiful on there. And then you have people that can take a canvas with a picture and figure out how to make it better. And I think as much as Jimmy Page was a creator from scratch, you know, from the blank canvas, I think he also had the ability to look at art and make it better, or make it different, or recreate it in how he thought it you know, how it translated in his mind. So by the end of all this research and listening to music and all that, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with the fact that they, you know, were able to be so heavily influenced by music, you know, on the outside. Now, before I go, I want to talk about my sponsor real quick. So if you could just check this out. My sponsor is Holly Carter. She is with the Magic for Less Travel, and she's a travel consultant, and her specialty is like Disney and Universal and cruises. So if you are interested in planning a vacation and giving yourself in these COVID times something to look forward to, I would highly recommend scanning the QR code. And it'll take you to a place where you can get a quote, no charge at all. You can tell her what you want. She'll tell you how to do it. And she is one of the best. And so if you're ready to start planning for that vacation to Universal or to Disney, or go ahead and get something on the books for a fantastic cruise for yourself and your family. Scan the code, get a quote. It's going to be completely free, and you can go ahead and be on your way to getting that done. So Holly Carter, The Magic for Less Travel, the best, just absolutely the best. Well, anyway, if you haven't already, or if you're new to the channel and you like the content, subscribe to the channel, click on the bell, and you'll be the first to find out when anything new comes out. And also comment down below and let me know what kind of content you're looking for. If you want to compare one band to the next, or this album versus this album, or, you know, maybe a ranking series on somebody, you know, the band, you know, your favorite band, just let me know what it is. Or if you just want to talk about the anatomy of a particular song, it doesn't matter. As long as it's music related, we'll do it. So just do that. So again, that's it for me. I'm on Instagram at Red Mug Music, and you can follow me there. There's a lot of content going on there, so check me out there. And that's going to be it for this week. So thanks for hanging out with me. I'll see you guys next time.